First of all, I believe freedom is universal, and part of a free society is one in which people are able to have decent health care. And so on a recent trip to Africa, Laura and I continued to advocate and to foster what we call the Pink Ribbon, Red Ribbon campaign, which is a campaign to help women in Africa deal with cervical cancer. No question in my mind that in order for free societies to flourish, people have got to have basic health care, and nothing more basic than to help people live who would probably die from cervical cancer. My efforts on Pink Ribbon, Red Ribbon all began with our government's efforts to help people live who would normally die from the scourge of HIV/AIDS. During my presidency, there was a pandemic that was in the process of destroying an entire generation of Africans. I decided that life was precious, and a priority of any government should be, if possible, to save lives. And so we started what's called PEPFAR, the President's Initiative on AIDS. And as a result of the American people's generosity, millions now live who would have died. There's nothing more discouraging, however, than a woman whose life has been saved by from HIV/AIDS to have cervical cancer and end up dying with cervical cancer, which is the leading cause of death, cancer death on the continent of Africa. So we took the PEPFAR platforms, put together a group of public and private sector entities, and decided to save lives from cervical cancer. The most inspirational moment was to welcome 50 women to this clinic, which we had refurbished, onto the grounds of the clinic so that they could get screened for cancer. I'll never forget the face of the first woman who walked in. She was nervous walking in to the little room there at the clinic, and came out with a broad smile on her face. She discovered she didn't have cervical cancer, and it was a sweet smile, and it made us all feel very warm in our hearts. Well, the danger, of course, is during tough economic times, people say, why should we care about somebody's life on a continent far away from our own country? During tough economic times, people tend to withdraw and say, let's focus on our own problems. And I understand that. It's a high priority for a nation, if possible, to help save lives. And so our government is obviously feeling fiscal pressures. I hope Congress continues to fund the HIV/AIDS program in Africa so that more people can live. I believe all life is precious. I believe every human being has worth. And therefore, when I learned that there was a pandemic destroying life, and that our country was rich enough to do something about it, I called upon the Congress, and therefore the American people, to act. Millions now live that would not have lived. And I still feel the same way, particularly when I heard that cervical cancer is taking hundreds and hundreds of lives, and knowing that we could do something to stop that. On our trip to Botswana, after we went to Zambia, Laura and I went to a school in a village outside the capital of Botswana, and met Peace Corps volunteers, people your age who were willing to dedicate a part of their life to helping others. And so one avenue, of course, would be the Peace Corps. And you can serve in all kinds of ways. I mean, you can mentor a child here in our country, you can help the elderly, you can feed the hungry, or you can do what Laura and I have chosen to do, spend some of our time on the continent of Africa dealing with some basic needs, whether it be educating a child or helping a woman live that would possibly die from cervical cancer.